All right. Welcome, everyone. For anyone who is uh, joining later, they can come back and watch the recording. My name is Mericka McCabe. I'm a scientific engagement manager with protocols.io. I'm based out of New York, and today I am going to be presenting our tips and tricks webinar on advanced features and functionality. This is more of an advanced webinar. I'll dive into some deeper functionalities that protocols.io has. For those of you who are new to the platform, please feel free to stay on. Just know that we'll be skipping some of the basics that's covered in the introductory webinar, so you might want to go back later to watch that. Some quick housekeeping. We're recording the webinar. You'll receive a link both to this recording and the slides that I'm presenting today. You can turn on closed captioning and translate the captions as well. I'll show you how to do that in the next slide. There will be Q&A at the end. Please feel free during the webinar to put your questions in Q&A or in the chat. I'll also have a webinar feedback survey at the end where you can give any feedback about today's webinar and also suggest topics for future webinars. And I encourage you to check out our other webinars at protocols.io/webinars. Or if you want more hands-on training or have really specific questions that you need more time with one of us to go through, feel free to request a one-on-one demo. To enable captions at the bottom of your screen, you can click Show Captions. You'll be prompted then to select your caption language, and captions will be auto-translated via Zoom, and it does a relatively good job. I'll also try not to speak too quickly so that Zoom hopefully has more opportunity to catch and translate. For today, we'll go through an introduction about protocols.io, fork versions and copies, the terminology of those different features on the platform. I'll walk you through a live demo, also covering several advanced editing, run functionalities, task and reagent manager, and collections. And then we'll have a lot of time for Q&A. So if you have any questions or anything I didn't address, we can go through that. To start, there's two sides of protocols.io. There's an open access repository where you can discover and publish detailed scientific protocols. This is free to read, free to access, and it's free to publish any protocols, and you'll receive a DOI when you publish your protocols in the repository. You can view the over 25,000 and growing public protocols already available and contribute your own to those. There's also the private collaboration tool. This side is where you can privately secure, manage, and create your protocols. One of my coworkers is joining at the moment. This is where you can store, create, and have your protocols. Let me just spotlight myself. There we go. And we have over 86,000 private protocols that are being stored in the private collaboration space. You can later transfer these to the open access repository, and these two sides feed into each other. So protocols.io is able to be there as you transition through the different stages of your research, whether you start on the public side to search and find protocols, which you can then optimize and organize, and then share and publish and feed back into the public side, or at any of these phases, starting and being part of the cycle. Protocols on the private side can be worked on and handled until you're ready to publish them. And really the goal of protocols.io is to make it easy to share your methods details before, during, and after publication. We want to make it easy so you can document what you're doing and what's changed as you're doing things. There's this idea of modular publishing where you can publish discrete research outputs and bring them all together into a manuscript. And it's really nice because you're able to have these standalone outputs or modulars that not only can be published independently, but also ensure that people are getting credit for the work that they contributed. So in this example from Nature Communications, almost 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, you have add gene being used to deposit expression constructs, protocols IO for methods, and the PDB protein data bank for molecular structure. So whether it's code, methods, or data, everything's published separately, then can be linked together into the overall story and publication, and people are able to get credit for what they've done. As I mentioned, this is a kind of a more advanced workshop, so I'm not going to go into the getting started on protocols.io, but I want to help with some of the terminology. We have three terms about protocols, which are version, fork, and copy. A version allows you to link to previous versions. You can create a version of any protocol, but only the original protocol, only the owner of the original protocol can publish the version. This can be used if you're trying to correct an error in a step, add new information, and you can view different versions on the website as shown here. A fork also links to the original protocol. It can be created by anyone and published by anyone. This is used when you're modifying a protocol for different sample types, species, strains, equipment. And you can see here, you'd have the protocol and forked from, which brings you back to the original protocol. A copy does not have a link, and this can only be created by protocol owners or co-admins. And this is used more as a template. So if you have a lot of protocols with the same abstract, authors, affiliations, but different steps, the owner of the protocol might want to make a copy. And just as an analogy here, a version would be if you have a chocolate cake and you want to add more sugar or change the temperature and time that you're cooking, you would make a new version of that chocolate cake recipe. If you now want to make a vanilla cake recipe, you would fork that because you're using a lot of the same materials. You're using the chocolate cake recipe to build and develop this new recipe. So it's forked and it's building off of the original protocol. And then a copy would be if you're working in the same kitchen with the same chefs, but you're making a completely different recipe like fried chicken, you would make a copy and you would have some similarities that are retained, but changing all of the steps. To get started on protocols.io, if you haven't already, there's a lot of different ways to get your protocols on. You can fork an existing protocol. You can use our protocol entry service where we will import and format your protocol for you and then transfer ownership to you. You can start a protocol from scratch or with the help of our generative AI, which is trained off of Springer Nature scientific materials and is specifically trained for scientific experimental use. Or you can import from existing text either by copying and pasting text in or using our Protocolify AI importer, which is able to take any files in any format, like a picture of a handwritten protocol, a PDF of a protocol that you have in the lab, a Word document, and so on, and transfer this onto protocols.io and convert it into a step-by-step protocols.io format. So a lot of today's webinar is advanced and will be really working through the platform. As I said, there's some assumed knowledge here that you know how to search protocols.io, you know a bit about workspaces, you know about importing protocols and publishing protocols. Again, if you don't know that, I'm assuming it, but you can always go back and look at our other webinars or our tutorials or ask any questions toward the end. And for today, I'll largely be covering protocol sharing, editing, run functionality, the task and reagent managers, and collections. So let me stop sharing for 1 second and we'll transition out of the slides. And into the file manager. Okay, so we should now be in the file manager. So when you come into protocols.io, you'll have your file manager. This looks a lot like a file manager that you'll see in your computer or other places where you can have documents, you can have your protocols, you can have run records, and I'll walk through that. I mentioned that we're assuming the knowledge that you know how to import protocols, but I will just quickly touch on the AI protocol importer. If you drag and drop any protocol in another format, like a doc file, you'll see that when you click that file on the side here, you'll see create a new protocol from this file. And when you select that, you can click convert and convert your protocol into a step-by-step protocols IO format that appears like this, where you've now converted a protocol into the step-by-step format, and you'll need to go through and make any changes, and you can add in components, which I'll walk through. So going into the editor, when we click our protocol and click edit, when you first join or first create a protocol, you'll have an empty Word document, blank canvas. I had pre-imported some steps to just walk us through the different features. So when you start, you might want to add a step. You can do that on the left-hand side here by clicking Insert Step. You can also click at the bottom here. Let me move this computer over so I can see this other screen. New step. So up here, we'll go and click Insert Step. Wherever you have your mouse currently selected, it will insert the step below that. So if you're trying to insert a step at the very bottom, you don't want to have selected up here. You want to be at the bottom and click Insert Step, and that will insert the step at the bottom. I can select these and delete them if I don't need them. To add a sub-step, I would come in and click Insert Sub-Step. So this would be if I have a step that's, make a buffer, and then the sub-step might be weigh out material A, weigh out material B, weigh out material C. I can mark steps as critical by coming to the grid icon here, and you'll see mark a critical step, and you can have up to 3 critical mark icons per step. It could be a critical step, it could be a overnight step, and it could also be toxic. And now you'll see those icons appear on the protocol. And when someone views the protocol, the icons will appear in that step. To make a section, I can either insert a section here, and that will make a new section, which will be section 2. The nice thing about having the sections is now you'll have a table of contents being built as you go. So section 1, section 2, section 3, and as someone views my protocol, they can click table of contents and jump between the different sections. If I want to make a section from existing steps, I want to cluster some steps into a section, I can click to select the steps and shift click to select all steps, and then do set section for selected steps, and either move those into an existing section or create a new section. So I can move those up into section 2. Then we'll get into adding different components. So on the right-hand side here, we have a ton of different components that you can add that will enhance your protocol in various ways. You can sort these by all generic biological components. You can also have favorited components that you can view by clicking the star. To add a favorite, you click the star above that component, and then that will automatically show up in your favorites. A lot of these are kind of self-explanatory, but not always. Amount is very helpful because you're able to add an amount and any microliter, liter, whatever the unit of your choice is. You can add additional information if needed. And if the unit is not present in our list, if you click this gear icon, you can create a unit of yourself. So I could say cups, which is not a scientific unit, but I could add that unit in. You can also add in a sub protocol. So if as you are following your protocol, you want to link to other protocols, or you have a step that's to create a specific buffer and you have a protocol on how to make that buffer, you can come into the components, click protocol, and then type available protocols. And oh, I made a typo. And you can embed your protocol into the steps. You can add in a data set. Let me hide my controls. There we go. So if I come here, there's a deep sea protein structure data set that I can copy, come back into my protocol, and add in a data set. You can also search components if you're trying to find a specific component, create new data set, put the link here, and then put the name, deep sea protein structure. Great. And that data set will be linked here. You might want to add in references. So you can add in the reference component, which is under citation. You can search all of PubMed. You can search public protocols, your protocol, or you can create a new citation with the title, journal, authors, DOI. So I'll search PubMed, and I'm going to search my own name. And this is my PhD. So I'll put in my citation there. To add a table in, you can go to the top here. So that's not in the components, it's in the top here. And you can add in a table of any size. This table is editable, so you can add in title, reagent, and you can also work with the table to create formulas. So if I'm going to put the reagent of reagent A, reagent B, reagent C, and we have the amount of 2, 3, and 4, and then I want to know how much I would do if I do a 10x, I would put an equal sign just like Excel, and it would be B2, or sorry, it would be 10 times B3. Not B3, C2. C2, there we go. And then you can apply this to the other formulas. If you already have an Excel table, you can take that Excel table, copy, and paste that in. Oh, I might not have given permission. There we go. Copy and paste that in to your table. But you'll note that the formula does not transfer over. So in order to get the formula to transfer over, if you're working in Excel, you go to formula, show formulas, and now you would copy and come back and paste, and that would transfer the formula. To add reagents, you can come into components, back into components, and click reagents. You can search for existing components like sodium chloride, chloride. Take a minute to search because we have a lot of different components. Or we can do the co-transporter. You can also create your own reagent. So for example, if I wanted to make my own sodium chloride mixture reagent, I can search from available vendors, but if this is a homemade mixture or a lab-made mixture, you want to, you can add in homemade because the vendor is required. You can add the catalog number, URL, CAS number, or RRID as well. And as you add reagents in, they get transferred into the materials section automatically so people can see what materials are required for each step. You can add in notes in the components. So if you have a note like mix well, and you can see we also have keyboard shortcuts shortcuts. So if you want to click the question mark, you can view some of the keyboard shortcuts. So if you start working really quickly and wanting to add in amounts regularly, you could use those keyboard shortcuts. Safety information can also be added from the components section. So this might be wear gloves or work in hood. You can add in an image. At the top here, you can click Insert Image Video and then select an image from your computer. And it will upload that image, and you can add a legend, and you can also add a reference. And you could also add in a video by inserting a link or inserting it from your computer. If you want to embed the video from YouTube, you'll want to go to YouTube. And as I said, you could just copy paste the link and do it as a link, or you can share, embed, and copy. And now if we go here to embed media, paste that here, it will embed the YouTube video. I'm going to pause there and just show you what this looks like now for someone who is viewing your protocol, who you've shared it with. So when they're viewing the protocol, they'll see the sub-protocol that you added in. They can go to the data set that was linked, go to the citation that was linked, view the table, the reagents, the notes, the image, and they can watch the embedded video. And that can all be done while looking at the protocol. Any links like the reference or the data set will open a new tab. And then I can go back to the top and edit. You can add in smart components. Smart components are really helpful if you are doing a experiment where you want to collect specific data. So in the components, you'll click smart component, add a row. Maybe I want to collect the weight of a tissue, the volume of liquid, the name of the mouse that I'm working with. And some of these could be required and some of them might be optional. And when I add those components in, you'll see they appear as required or optional, and someone can later add values. If you're doing field work, you might want to add the coordinates of a location, like the location where your field is located. This is done with the geo coordinates, and you can put in the coordinate information. If you are you doing computational work, you can add in a command. So let me pull that up here. You can either search existing commands or create a new command, and you can type and paste the command. And this will appear here. And then when someone's following the protocol, they can copy the command and paste it into whatever program they're using. And then the last thing I'll cover, we're going through the steps, or one of the last things I'll cover is adding a step case. So a step case is a good option on the left-hand side here. If you have kind of a if or, so if someone follows all the steps and then the last step is, maybe you're doing an experiment where you're isolating cells, and then the last step is extracting DNA, or perhaps you're extracting RNA, or perhaps you're isolating protein, or just freezing the samples. So you add one step case, and then to add the others, you could do RNA, protein, and freeze. And now each of these step cases behaves differently. So for each one, you can add sections, you can add steps, you can add all of those components, and they are different paths to follow. A step case can't reconverge at the moment. So if you want all of your steps to reconverge at the same protocol, what we recommend doing is adding in a protocol at the end. So this would be end step case. And as I'm searching this, I'm realizing I might be in my other account. So give me 1 second. We'll just put Lysis buffer creation instead. And now if you want this protocol to be the same in all, you can copy that step and insert step from clipboard into all of those step cases so that that protocol is embedded as the final step of all of these. And now when someone views the protocol, they can go down to the step case and select which case to follow, if it's the DNA, RNA, freezing, protein, or whatever your step case might be. Go back to edit. And the last component that I want to mention is the well plate map. So if you are working, and here also I'll show you, you can move down a step if you realize it's it's not where you want it to be. So add a new step. This one I actually want to be at the top, so I'll move it up. And now I can add in a well plate map. You can choose the size of your map and create, and this will create a blank well plate map that you can work with yourself, or you can import an Excel file. So I have an Excel file that I already labeled. Once I import it, it will read the file and see that it's a 12 well plate. I'll create that, and you can see all of the labels that I had previously put into Excel are there. It might help to color code. So you can go and individually color code different wells, but obviously for a 12 well plate, that's not too difficult. But for a 96 well plate, you might want to save time. So you can create templates or follow existing templates. And so here I have an existing template that automatically color codes my different columns. So that's just some of the features to get started with adding steps, step cases, components, and enhancing your protocol. You also should add an abstract to describe your protocol. So this protocol is a tutorial. You can add in your authors. You can add in any keywords that help to make this protocol findable. You can add an external link if the protocol links somewhere. If it's connected to a manuscript, you can add a citation if that already exists. Any images that you need to give attribution to, an image for a protocol image here that you would then give the attribution down here, and then any attachments. So if you have worksheets that people should download in order to follow this protocol or anything like that, you can add these here. In guidelines and warnings, you can add if there's any guidelines, things people should do before they start the protocol. So this would be create a protocols.io account. If there's warnings, let's say be safe, ethics statement, you need to add if you have animal or human research or tissues, and any other warnings. Any references you have, if you've used the citation feature, they'll automatically apply and be marked with the step that they are associated with, or you can manually add in protocol references. Materials also will automatically be put into the materials tab if you use the reagents component, and you can also add your own materials. Any acknowledgements and grant funding, and then troubleshooting if you have known problems and known solutions. So now that I've added details to my protocol, I can view it, I can share it with others, I can edit it, fork it, and I'll get into that. But first, what I want to show you also is that you can run a protocol. And so for that, I'm actually going to use a different protocol example where I have my immunohistochemistry protocol. I can click run on the protocol, choose where I want to save my run record to, start run, and now I can come in here. If there's an experiment ID, I can give the experiment ID. I've added in components like duration, which is a timer, and I can have that running for me while I do the experiment. If you're working off of protocols.io on your tablet or your phone and you're worried about touching that with gloves, it actually works really well by putting them into a Ziploc bag, and then you can click the buttons through the Ziploc bag. Once a step is complete, you can mark it as done. If you are making any changes during the run, on the side here, you can edit, and you can say, maybe I did 3 times histoclear, and save that. And it will save for that specific run, but not for the protocol overall. So I'm saving what I did on that day without overriding the protocol that I'm following. If I'm doing a larger version of the whole protocol, in the top right, these 3 dots, I would click Scale Protocol, and I can scale the protocol by 2, 3, 300, whatever number, let's say 3. And now, did I accidentally type 3? And now everywhere that I've put an amount component will become red to indicate that I've scaled it, and have in parentheses the scaled by 3, so that I know on this run I scaled the protocol by 3. If a step has, so I can mark steps as complete, and then if I'm doing a protocol where I need to use specific antibodies, I can edit the protocol and say, today I used this antibody at 1 to 1,000, no antibody at nothing because it's no antibody, and I can mark that this was on slide 2 and this was slide 1. I could also add a comment and say, more antibody dilutions needed, and have that comment present on the protocol. If I get to a point where the protocol fails, for example, for an immunohistochemistry protocol, when you incubate with working solution, let's say your slide just all of your tissues turn black because your antibodies were too concentrated or something went wrong, you can mark that as having failed, and you could add a comment saying immediately turned. And then because it's failed now, I would finish the run of my protocol. Now this saves the run. It's no longer editable. I can go through and look at the comments to see on what steps things happened. I could also put a protocol-wide comment in. I can see the history of when I did each step. And most importantly, I can export this to my computer or to a ELN. In order to, I'll close this for a minute. If I want to look at the run record later, it will have been saved into my folder that I saved it to, and you'll see here a completed run record. And from here, I can also come in and export to my computer, or I can add apps like Google Drive, Lab Archives, connect my electronic lab notebook, the Open Science Foundation, and I can export the run record to those. Let me just check the time. We're doing well. Okay, so that's the run functionality. If you are working in a workspace with multiple people and you want to assign tasks to them, you can do that in the task manager. So you'll see that's by going to your workspace, clicking tasks, and that opens the task manager. And you can see I already have some tasks that are open, that have dates that they were assigned to start and that dates that they're due. tasks that are in progress that were assigned to specific people. I can create a task and call this my testing task, give it a description, um, add a protocol. So I'll add in the tips and tricks protocol that we just created. It will search through our protocols to add in and click that. It's open. It will start today. Maybe I want this to be due on Thursday, and I'll assign it to my cat and to myself. And we're both in charge of doing this protocol together, or this task together. You can add multiple protocols. So if the task is creating lab buffers, you could have 10 different protocols, each protocol for a different buffer, and each could be assigned to someone. Let me save this task for a second. And that's saving. And now I can see a notification. I have to refresh. I'll get a notification telling me that a task was assigned to me, and I can view that task. If I want to add assignees to this task, I can assign the specific task to someone, or I could assign part of the protocol. So I'll do parts 1 through 14 and leave the ending of the protocol either for someone else or assigned to someone else. This is going to take 1 second to save. My internet has not been very friendly today. There we go. And now I can come in and I can click the 3 dots and click Run Protocol and start running the protocol. And give it a second to start the run. And if you click the run start from the task manager, it will link that specific run to the specific task. I blocked my pop-ups the other day. There we go. Let's try that again. So it should work now that I've allowed pop-ups. But it will link the specific run to the specific task, and people can come in and see where someone is within the run. So I've started the run. I see that it's assigned to me, these steps, and the sub-step was assigned to me. I can mark things as done as I do them. And then I'll get to, if I get to this part that's the last step assigned to me, I can close the run and say, okay, I'm done with it. And then other people can come in, see the protocol in the task manager. It's been started, so we can change the status to in progress here. And then I can, in a different account or in my own account, click open run record and continue where the other person left off. So multiple people can complete the steps for the protocol and take over for others. And if I go to my workspace folder now, you'll see that the protocol run record is gray because it's incomplete. So that means that I haven't finished working on that run. I also want to quickly mention the reagent manager, which I need to be in my other account. Nope, there we go. Okay, so in the workspace profile, you can click manage reagents and I can see what reagents are present in my lab. I can add in new reagents. If you want to upload a huge list of reagents, you can make a CSV file and it walks you through how to format that to make sure that you have it in the correct format. If I have this one reagent, it's on Rory's bench, but we're actually running low. I'll mark that I've ordered it recently. And now, hopefully nothing will go wrong, but it should show up as ordered here. And then the very last thing I want to talk about is, before we move to Q&A, is collections. So when you are working in protocols.io, you can have different separate protocols, but you might also want to create workflows where you have protocol one, protocol two, protocol three, four, five, so on. So to create a collection, you can either select the protocols that you want to put into a collection and click new collection from selected, or if you want to start from scratch, you can click new collection. So I'll do new from the two I've selected. I'll put that into my workflows folder. And now I can add in additional protocols. So maybe I want to add in my immunohistochemistry protocol. Maybe I want to add in my coffee protocol, whatever protocols are relevant. Maybe before I can do any of these other protocols, I need to have done, I need to have done the coffee protocol first, so I can move that up to the top and reorder these. And you can also, just like a protocol, add in an abstract, add authors, add keywords, links, citations, etc., and all of the other tabs that you have for a protocol. But now when someone views this collection, they're able to view the individual protocols here. And what's really nice about this is if you have protocols that get used for multiple workflows, you can include those protocols in multiple collections. And as you update individual protocols, you can have them update the new version in the collection. And I'll just show an example here of a collection where, sorry, let me open the collection, where we have this getting started model system. And you can see they walk through the different protocols to follow, and you might not follow all of them. For example, this is for one lab, this is for a different lab. So you might only follow this protocol and then move to this protocol. You might follow all of them. It depends on how you what you need to use it for. And you can see that you get also a collection citation. Another really nice example of this is this PLOS biology paper, that they have a protocol collection with every protocol used for the paper. And not only is that collection what's referenced in the paper, but you can go to the paper directly from the collection. I'm going to go back to our slides and then, oh, sorry, I forgot one more thing, which is advanced sharing. So when you are in your file manager, in the workspace, anyone who is in the workspace will have access to the files. So in this workspace, I have access to the files, I'm the owner, and then my cat has access to the files because she's a member of the workspace. In the folder, anything that's published and public is available to anyone. So anyone on the internet could search coffee prep Mericka McCabe and find this protocol. It's publicly available, but I have new versions that are private that have this lock button that only I can view because I'm a member of the workspace. If I want to share this protocol with someone who is not a member of the workspace, to go to I would go to the specific protocol. Sorry, let me do this with this. I go to the specific protocol, click share, and then I can add in users to share this with. So they need to be public, which I don't believe my other cat's profile is public, so I won't be able to find him, but I could put my email address and share it with my email. I could also change the settings. Ooh, glitched for a second. There we go. Change the settings so that I can view it, I can edit it, or I could only preview it. If I want to have a link to put into a paper or send to reviewers, you can get a private link. I am not the owner of this protocol, and that is why it won't let me do that. Hold on one second. I'm the owner of this protocol. I can get the private link, copy that, and now when someone with that link goes to view the protocol, they're able to view the protocol, but they're not able to edit it, publish it. They're only able to view it. If you are doing a double blind manuscript submission or need a double blind submission for any reason, you can get the blind link and that will remove the author information. So now I see lysis buffer creation, but I don't see that it is Rory McCabe's protocol. Okay, so now I will go back to the slides. So just because we only have so much that we can cover in one webinar, I encourage you to go to our help center where you can find a lot of really helpful articles, watch tutorials in our tutorial section, submit any feedback or ask any questions you have. We have this webinar. We also have our introduction webinar and our publishing webinar that's about how to get credit and publish your protocols. You can register for those live across different time zones. I'm based in New York, so I am typically the one leading the more US-centric time zones, but we also have European and Asian time zone friendly webinars. And you can view recordings of past webinars. Some of my colleagues might cover other topics or topics slightly differently, and you can view those recordings there. Or if you need additional assistance, you want to talk to one of us one-on-one and ask really specific questions, you can request a 30-minute one-on-one personal demo and email info@protocols.io if you want to arrange a larger training or webinar for yourself and your lab, perhaps, or community. I am going to paste the link to the webinar feedback survey in the chat, and I really appreciate feedback. This is my first time giving this webinar, and any feedback that you have, I will take to heart as we go forward. And then if you want to contact any of us, you can email info@protocols.io, which is our email monitored across time zones. And you can also email me directly at mericka.mccabe@protocols.io. I will figure out how to stop sharing my screen. And screen share. Let's try. There we go. Okay. Stop share. Great. And now I will check the Q&A. So someone commented about the UI, which Nastia, my coworker who's online with us, very kindly responded that we do follow a lot of standard editors in order to help people to be familiar with the platform. So it might look familiar to Google Docs or other sites, but as she mentioned, it is a lot more structured specifically for step-by-step protocols. Q&A, we can establish within a protocol A link to another protocol B that is necessary to perform some preliminary test. Yes, so in the editor, as Nastia mentioned, and I can show that again, you can add in the component for a protocol. So let me just open one of my protocols. Share this screen again. So you should be able to see the screen. So you can add in a new step and add in a protocol and search for, I'm going to search my immunohistochemistry protocol and add that in. When you do that, when someone runs that protocol, the embedded protocol will automatically expand. And so they'll follow the steps that you've put in the new protocol and then also be walked through the steps of the embedded protocol. I selected my own protocol in this case, but you could go in and insert a protocol. Sorry, I have to make a new step. Insert a protocol. And if you click all protocols, this will search all published protocols on protocols.io. So you could follow someone else's protocol and embed that in. Are there other questions? give people one more minute. And if there's no other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll just quickly pop this back up on the screen. And you'll receive, as I said, a copy of these slides and this recording so that you can find all the links here. And yes, please feel free to email us at info@protocols.io if you have additional questions, or if you have any suggestions about components or features that you think would help to enhance your workflow. Okay, I'll give a few more seconds in case anyone has a final question, and then I'll close this out. And also